Good morning to everybody. How you doing? Hope all's well. Keep up the beautiful work. May we only see good things for Am Yisrael. Be'ezrat Hashem itbarach v'yitromam. Today's class is Refuah Shelemah Batya Chaya bat Simcha, Avraham ben Margalit, and Mordechai ben Leon. Anyone who needs Refuah Shelemah, please Hashem. And the soldiers have to come home. The hostages have to come home. Imagine they're there for almost 460 days. That's not normal. Imagine the families. Imagine them. Hashem just has to bring the Mashiach. Please Hashem. Only Hashem can bring it. Misha amal le'olamo dai. Yoman na letzarotenu dai. When Hashem was creating the world and everything was reproducing, the grass was growing, the trees were growing, everything was growing. Hashem had to say, enough. That's one of the reasons why Hashem's name is Shaddai, Shaddai. But the one who said to the world, die, Hajer, is the one that's going to say, Hajer, die to the Am Yisrael's troubles. Inshallah, we have to only see good things. We're continuing the halachot of waking up in the morning, Be'ezrat Hashem. It should be with good health. There is a movement out there that it's sad to say there is a movement for such a concept, but thank God it's only in Wisconsin and nowhere where we can think about. But there's a movement out there in Johannesville that some people need reminders when they wake up before saying thank you to Hashem that they're able to wake up. They take their phone and go shoof what's on the phone, a little Insta, a little scrolling, a little this, a little that. And unfortunately, that causes a person to show his priorities. But when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is say, thank you, Hashem, that I woke up. I did see a clip a while back ago where someone says, you want a free $1,000,000? And they said, who doesn't want a free $1,000,000? It helps pay for the Uber Eats for the children in 1 week. That's without the tips, bunch. Anyway, back to our subject. Of course, everyone would want $1,000,000. And then he says, who would want $10,000,000? Obviously, everyone wants $10,000,000. Everyone should have beracha in their lives with everything good. He told the people then, I will give you $10,000,000, but you cannot wake up the next morning. And of course, everybody in the crowd said, it ain't worth it. What's the point? So that means waking up in the morning is worth more than $10,000,000. Now, even people going through troubles, God forbid, a million times, and they think to themselves certain thoughts. Obviously, when you delve deep, deep, deep down, obviously, everyone, we should all live and be well. And everyone would say, thank you, Hashem, for letting them wake up in the morning. And He should always give us strength. And there's a saying we say all the time, and it's worthwhile of repeating all the time. One sigh brings another sigh. We even said it on Friday's class. And one thank you to Hashem says thank you, makes another thank you, and makes Hashem want to give you something to be thankful for. It's also out there in the world, even the goyim out there, everyone believes in the power of attraction, and what you think you may come. If a person's thinking echad, then they draw the art of attraction. They draw echad to them. But if they think positivity, then they draw positivity to them. So to make awareness that you have to say thank you to Hashem for waking up before you take the phone. Of course, like we said in our neighborhood, we don't have to, but far away in Never Never Land, they have to. That's point number one. Point number two, of course, we know we have to wash Netilat Yadayim when we wake up in the morning. Now, there's a halacha that's brought down. You're not allowed to walk 4 amot, 8 feet before you wash Yadayim, which means you have to wash pretty close to your bed. How come not everyone is diligent and careful with that? Because Batya tells us that when you're under one roof, so you're allowed to walk even more than 4 amot. And that's why we're lenient today. You're also allowed to get dressed before you wash Netilat Yadayim, but then we wash right away. Now, some people have a bathroom close to their bedroom, so it would be recommended if you can to wash in there. Some people have cups in their bathroom, and they wash Yadayim. And then when you go back to the kitchen or down to the kitchen, then you wash Yadayim as well, because washing in a restroom isn't the same power as washing in the kitchen, because the bathroom itself is tameh. You walk into a bathroom just to get a tissue. According to many, you have to wash your hands, even though you didn't take care of your needs, because that's the room of walking into a restroom. You're not allowed to pray in a restroom. You're not allowed to learn in a restroom. You can't bring food into a restroom, even though in the Motel 6s, the coffee machine is in the hammam. However, we don't drink coffee while we are in the facility because we know there's tumah in the facility, and therefore we should wash there. But then, of course, we wash downstairs. But if a person doesn't wash in their bathroom, they just wash that in their kitchen right away. That is also permissible. Hamavadiyah was able to smell who didn't wash yadayim in the morning or not. I saw it with my own eyes. He was also to be able to smell out a lot of other things. One day we'll talk about that around the campfire and some marshmallows and some s'mores. How you doing? But Hawadiah had X-ray vision on steroids. Fact, I saw it many, many times, and so did all his close students. Yishtabach Shemo. But when people didn't wash, his grandchildren would run to him in the morning. I would see it. They should live and be well. And he would say, wait, that one didn't wash your dime. Don't run to grandpa, go wash your dime, or tell your mom to wash your dime. He was able to tell who washed, who didn't wash, because there's an energy that's impure on our body, and he was able to see it. Sometimes in school, rabbis walk into a classroom and say, I could tell someone here didn't wash your dime. You can't make a kid raise his hand in front of everyone and say, go out, wash your dime. I don't know if any educator in the world would agree to that, because the kid's going to get embarrassed, hate washing your dime, hate religion. So therefore, you say when you go to the restroom later or you go to lunch, in other schools, the rabbi would say the kids are all out to lunch, but we don't say that, of course, in the tri-state area. Yishtabach Shemo La'ad. But you tell them when you go to lunch, go wash your dayim with a cup in the morning. So we know we're already familiar with these laws. If someone needs the restroom in the middle of the night, they don't have to officially wash yadayim. They could just wash their hands under the sink, say Asher Yatzar, and then in the morning they wash yadayim properly, etc. Sometimes you might be lying down in bed and you hear thunder or lightning. Just make sure it's not 12 o'clock midnight on December 31st, January 1st. Sometimes people just conk out a little early. I mean, they've seen the ball drop how many times? Inshallah, they should hear about it a million more years. But some people go to sleep early and then they wake up and they hear the fireworks and they make a beracha on the thunder. True story. We were once in Knis in the summer praying Minha and our beat, and it was July 4th evening, and someone hears a noise and he says, Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, shekachol gvurato malei olam, the beracha that we make on the thunder. And I told him, Ruhi, that was not thunder, Mama. There's not a cloud out in the sky. That was fireworks. Anyway, that's why in Halab, they did not make those berachot with a beracha, because you have to make it within 2 seconds. People were procrastinating, not making the beracha. But Havadia says we do make the beracha, lightning and thunder, with Hashem's name, which we'll talk about another time. Be'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach. So we know there's no eating in the morning as well before washing Netilat Yadayim. The next halakha, Havadia tells us, does not apply nowadays. But in the old days, when in Israel, everybody smoked, Hashem should watch our people, watch our country, watch everyone with health. Be'ezrat Hashem. There are some people that still smoke. The Marlboro Man, for example, if he wakes up in the morning, when I was in Neverland, there was a guy, he didn't stop talking, but every once in a while he gets up and he says, Rabotai, please stop talking. So I had to go whisper in his ear. I said, could the Marlboro Man say stop smoking? Mama, how could you say stop talking when you talk more than anyone? Anyway, back to our subject, halachically, not halachically for health. Halachically for Netilat Yadayim, you are allowed to smoke a cigarette if needed before Netilat Yadayim. In the old days, in the times of the Gemara, Shema Yisrael, if someone touched their eye before washing yadayim, it could have an effect to hinder and do something to their eyesight and even make them blind, has v'halila. We don't touch any holes on our head before netilat yadayim, no touching your ears, eyes, nose, and mouth before netilat yadayim. Also, we don't touch food before we wash netilat yadayim. If someone does touch food that you're able to put under a sink, then you should wash that food, like an apple or a pear or an orange especially, then yes, you should wash it off first. But if you're eating a brownie, of course, a kosher brownie that's healthy, not from any high school far, far away, never land, and if someone touched it without yadayim, not recommended to wash it under the sink because obviously for obvious purposes. So then in that case, halachically nowadays, you're allowed to eat food that was touched with by someone who did not wash netilat yadayim. The concept of impurity, ruach ra'ah, that's on a person's hands nowadays is not as strong as it used to be. And the Gaon from Vilna, we said this story many times as well, says there was a story of Avraham ben Avraham, worthwhile to look into the story, but he got killed on Kiddush Hashem, and because he gave up his life for Hashem's name, the Gaon from Vilna says, Ruach Ra'ah, the impurity that comes on a person's hand in the morning, got erased for life. However, Batya says it did get diminished over the years. Sometimes when the impurities get diminished, it's not something we should cheer about. Why not? If it's a good thing, there's less impurity in the world. The answer is the impurity is only according to the holiness that's in the world. If the people aren't on a holy level, then the impurity is not as strong as well. That's why today we're not as careful as certain things that they used to be in the old days with certain things like Emin's Day and things like that, because they got weaker because the world unfortunately got weaker, but our community is striving, learning, doing hesed, praying. It's beautiful, so we're on the highest level and keep it up, Ezrat Hashem. If someone does have to wash Netilat Yadayim for whatever reason it is, he's sleeping in the sukkah, he's camping out, he falls asleep somewhere on a beach while everyone's cold over here, and he washes Yadayim, you're not allowed to do it where people walk, because it has ruach ra'ah, and it's not nice that people will walk over it. The same law applies to mayim haronim. You should not do it where people walk. And sometimes people, they drive to work. Traffic is horrible, even with the new congestive prices. How you doing? And they might be eating 40 bagels that they hustled from shul in the car, and now it's time for mayim haronim. So they'll wash it out the window with a little liquid that they have left. BTW, when you have to wash netilat mayim haronim, you should not drink kabbalistically from the cup that you poured it. That is to say, if you have yourself a nice tall glass of water with ice in it, and you want to wash mayim haronim, make birkat hamazon, so you take a little out of it, and then you make birkat hamazon, and now you leave the cup of water for dessert. Not recommended to drink from there. Halachically, you're allowed, but kabbalistically, it's not recommended. So also, if someone has a bottle of water and they pour the mayim haronim out of that, they should only do it when there's a little left. This way, then you finish the rest, and you don't have to have any water left from drinking from the bottle. If someone does do it at the end of the day, halachically, it's allowed. However, better not to. Hashem should give us all good health. But what if somebody has a cast on their arm or some reason, bandages, etc., that they could also only wash one hand? Is the beracha al netilat yad, or is the beracha still al netilat yadayim? Now, many people are thinking, duh, it's al netilat yadayim. We never heard of al netilat yad. But let's say you go and you buy a knife and you have to dip it, and you make a beracha before you dip. So the beracha is not al tevilat kelim, it's al tevilat keli. And since it's one, we say keli, and therefore there are two different berachot. Are there two different berachot for Netilat Yadayim? And the answer is absolutely not. God should give us good health, but since that doesn't come up, the rabbis never made that beracha. And when it comes to dipping one dish, especially in the old days, one utensil, of course, people would only dip one item, and still till today. So if a person, the rabbi, because it's frequent, so the rabbis did institute a separate beracha al netilat keli, al tivilat keli. However, when it comes to netilat yadayim, a person who washes one hand still makes al netilat yadayim and al netilat, not al netilat yad. The rabbi then gets into the subject of, first of all, there are other things we wash our hands for. You have to keep that in mind as well. If a person touches their shoes, they have to wash netilat yadayim. If you're a few hours into the day and you scratch your back or something like that, you have to wash netilat yadayim. When you first took a shower and you're still squeaky clean, and then you have to scratch your back or something, you don't need netilat yadayim. However, after a few hours into the day, then you're not as squeaky clean anymore. You have to wash netilat yadayim. And as we mentioned in the past as well, when a person takes a haircut, they have to wash netilat yadayim. When a person shaves, they have to wash netilat yadayim, or cuts their nails, they have to wash netilat yadayim. And if a person doesn't, it's not a good thing. It's brought down. It can make someone forget the Torah. And if someone doesn't have Torah in their life, God forbid, then even other things can happen, God forbid. But when you wash your hands for these things, you do not need to use a cup. You're allowed to wash with just sticking your hand under the faucet. And the same goes if someone goes to the facility, they don't have to wash their hands with a cup. If you want to, you can. Is it extra kedusha? Most certainly. However, you do not have to. And even before tefillah, if a person, it's brought down in halakha that you're supposed to wash netilat yadayim before you pray, you go to minha. If you can wash, a lot of people run to the restroom before, so they wash their hands anyway. You don't need a cup for that as well. It is a nice thing to do it, to show respect and ceremonial. However, you don't have to. And keep that in mind as well. The next halakha the rabbi gets into is the subject of Asher Yasar. We know how important it is. As we mentioned before, when you're thankful, Hashem gives you more in that item that you're thankful for. And if a person's thankful that his bowels and his system is working good, and inshallah, please Hashem for everyone, always, the more thankful you are, the more guaranteed you are to have good health. Our rabbis tell us, and if it wasn't brought down in the ancient books and the holy rabbis not quoting it, then we could question, but these are the holiest of the holies, right? This halakha and this concept that when a person says Asher Yatzar with kavanah, they're guaranteed to have good health. But imagine everyone, like we always say, when we were kids, we heard the older people saying nothing more important than health, and we're thinking you're sketching. Ferraris aren't more important. Super Mario's not more important. All of the above is not more important. But as we get older, we realize how you doing. Of course, health is the most important thing. And if a person says Asher Yatzar the proper way, then they're guaranteed better health. Yishtabach Shemo. And one of the ways to say it with better concentration is to read it from something written. That's why everywhere you go now, they have Asher Yatzar signs in the schools, in the synagogues, people in the homes, people in offices. They put it, it's a nice thing to do because you read it when you read it from a card. So you're already having proper concentration. So we should keep that in mind as well. The rabbi brings down next, not to get too graphic, but if a person needs to go to take care of their needs and they're just procrastinating because there's a good Doritos commercial on in the Super Bowl or a Bud Light commercial, and they really have to go, that it's brought down that it's not good. Number one, it's not healthy, and number two, it's a little grotesque, and a person is not behaving, and that they transgress a prohibition in the Torah. Believe it or not, do not be disgusting. Now, if a person's stuck on the garden state and he has no choice, then you have no choice. If a person says, "Hey, I'm learning Torah, I don't want to miss learning to because of that," so the Ben Ish Chai says it's a mitzvah ba'avera. You're learning, which is nice, but on the expense of something that's the Torah tells us not to do. So of course we have to listen to the words of the Chachamim. Now, Batya does give leniencies if a person, when it comes to the easier facility to standing up, then and the person's in the middle of praying or giving a class, then Batya says we could continue, and then afterwards a person could take care of their needs. But if they really, really have to, then of course they have to take care of their needs. We spoke about a facility before, going to the restroom, etc. You have to wash your hands because the room itself is tameh. Because of that, it's brought down in halakha. You're not supposed to talk when you're in the bathroom. Not only that, in the old days especially, the Kabbalistically, we're not going to give too many details, but when we have that campfire with the s'mores and the marshmallows on the stick, then we'll talk about what the Kabbalah says if someone talks in the facility. The facilities today, the restrooms are less tameh than they were in the old days. That's for sure, because in the old days they were much harder to clean, etc. They didn't have system and plumbing like us. But of course, for siniyu purposes as well, better not to talk in the restroom. But Batya does say if someone gets a phone call, etc., and they have to talk, then they are allowed to if needed. If Walmart calls you because they're making that order, how you doing? They decided to buy from you 8 million pairs of jeans and you make $10 a piece. How you doing? You could get Uber Eats at least 3 times that week. God should bless us all. So anyway, and they're calling and you say, "No, I heard you can't talk in the restroom." So Batya says you are allowed to in a situation like that. However, believe it or not, when someone's taking a shower or something, or people are in the restroom, and the husband is going to knis minha, he'll scream, "Shabbat shalom, honey." You can't say Shabbat in the restroom. You can't say shalom in the restroom. Shalom is Hashem's name. Batya even says if someone's in the swimming pool and he sees someone, he says shalom, right? You're not allowed to say shalom without a kippah because it is Hashem's name, and Shabbat is a holy word. You might go into the Jewish stores and you might buy tissues or something, and those tissue boxes, some of them only write script Hebrew. Some of them are made in Israel and some are made here, but it might say made by a company that's Shomer Shabbat. You'll see that it doesn't say Shabbat on the tissue box. It says Shomer Shvi'i, the seventh day. Yani, it won't say Shabbat. Some tissue boxes only write script. In Israel, especially those tissue bags that they write script because some people say you can't even bring Hebrew with the square fonts that we know as Hebrew into the restroom as well. And that's why you might see, like we said, or you'll see an abbreviation for Shomer Shabbat, etc. I don't think people are really using tissues. They're paying attention if it's from a Shomer Shabbat company or not. But in Israel, it's more of a problem because halachically, if there's a factory that's open on Shabbat, which is not nowadays, of course, way long time ago, then someone's Mahalel Shabbat, you're not allowed to derive benefit from that item. And that's why a lot of people are extra meticulous with these items. But anyway, if someone does need to talk in a restroom, we can't say shalom, we can't say Shabbat, and of course, we should minimize the talking in total in the restroom. I hope everyone has a great day. Keep up the excellent work. Good things always. Hashem is very proud of you. May Am Yisrael hear good news today and every day. Please, Be'ezrat Hashem, take care. All the best. Bye.